Welcome to RISA Learning Module 2, Foundations of Risk Assessment and Safety Planning. This module consists of two parts, Risk Assessment 101 and Safety Planning 101. This presentation is part 2 of the module and covers Safety Planning 101. I would like to start by honoring the land that we are on, which has been the site of human activity since time immemorial. It is the traditional territories of the Huron-Wendat, Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River First Nations. Ontario is covered by 46 treaties and other agreements and is home to many Indigenous nations from across Turtle Island, including the Inuit and the Métis. These treaties and other agreements, including the One Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, are agreements to peaceably share and care for the land and its resources. Other Indigenous nations, Europeans, and newcomers were invited into this covenant in the spirit of respect, peace, and friendship. We are mindful of broken covenants and we strive to make this right, with the land and with each other. We are all treaty people. Many of us have come here as settlers, immigrants, or newcomers in this generation or generations past. I would like to also acknowledge those of us who came here forcibly, particularly as a result of the transatlantic slave trade. Therefore, I honor and pay tribute to the ancestors of African origin and descent. By the end of this module, you'll be able to define safety planning and explain why it is an important part of risk management, know how to incorporate risk factors into safety planning, explain the importance of using an intersectional approach when safety planning, know how to use the RISA safety plan and action plans. A gentle reminder as you go through any of our learning modules to practice self-care. Talking about GBV can be activating for some. It is also just good practice to care for ourselves during our workday, regardless of the topic. We have a list of self-care resources on the RISA website at risaboverisk.ca. You can look for the heart and hand symbol that's shown on the slide on our website's side menu to access resources. But in general, we encourage you to pause as often as you need to as you go through the module. Take time to move your body if it feels comfortable to do so, have a sip of water, breathe, and check in with yourself or with someone you trust when you need support. This module uses a number of key terms. If you are unfamiliar with any of these key terms or you would like a refresher, please refer to the glossary on the RISA website. It can be found in the sidebar on the Learning Modules page, as shown in the image above. Many of these terms are also covered in Module 1, GBV the Basics, which you can find on the RISA Learning Hub. Safety planning is the identification and preparation of strategies to reduce or avoid the risk of future violence, including the risk of lethality, serious harm, and reassault. It is an essential component of the risk management process. To be effective, safety planning should be personalized to the survivor's unique situation and needs, rather than using a general template. This includes incorporating the specific risk factors identified through a formal risk assessment. The risk assessment will determine what kind of safety strategies need to be considered and/or implemented. Safety planning should be conducted after the initial risk assessment during the first point of contact with the survivor. By definition, a safety plan is a written document that outlines practical steps that can be taken by the survivor and/or their support team to improve safety and reduce the risk of GBV. The plan includes vital information about the client's unique situation, risk factors, and needs, as well as concrete actions that can be taken. Elements of a safety plan could include emotional coping strategies, resources suited to the client's individual circumstances, and actions they can take, such as conveying information to friends and family. In order to create an informed safety plan, service providers must have a good understanding of any situations that might trigger future violence, such as an application in family court and/or litigation in the legal system. This allows survivors to identify the escalation of violence or risk and have safety plans in place in advance. Providers must also be aware in cases where the person who caused harm is released on bail or probation, or situations where there has been an escalation of violence and harassment. To help illustrate the safety planning process and what a safety plan consists of, let's briefly discuss a case example. You are working at a legal clinic for survivors of gender-based violence, much like the Schleifer Clinic. There you meet a client named Jennifer. Jennifer is 40 years old and a mother of 3 children. You learn that she left her abusive partner 3 days ago after several incidents of violence. Jennifer and her children are staying in a local shelter, and her ex-partner does not know their whereabouts. She is seeking information about child support and custody for her children. Jennifer does not want to lay charges and is concerned about filing an application in family court. Jennifer identifies as Indigenous and shared that her ex-partner likes to hunt and has access to guns. She is very concerned for her safety since he has made several threats in case she decides to leave him. The first step to creating an effective safety plan for Jennifer is conducting a comprehensive risk assessment, as discussed in Part 1 of this module. During this risk assessment, you identify a number of factors Jennifer is experiencing that you will want to account for during her safety plan. For example, because Jennifer has recently separated from her partner, she is at an increased risk of violence. Her safety plan will need to include steps to keep her and her children's location a secret, such as turning off her phone location services, blocking her ex-partner, and changing her walking or running routes. This may also include notifying her children's school principal or teacher about the situation and letting them to know who to watch out for. Because Jennifer is looking to get custody of her children, her plan should include safety considerations relevant to starting an application in family court. Filing an application can trigger negative reactions from the opposing party, which may be dangerous. Jennifer should ensure she is aware of when the application is being served to her ex-partner and that she avoids contacting her ex-partner during this process. Jennifer may want to seek additional support from a Native women's organization. Her safety plan should include referrals to Indigenous women's organizations in her area. This example shows how you can create effective safety plans by tailoring information to your client's unique circumstance and providing concrete steps they can take to prevent future harm. There are some general safety strategies that are important to implement for all clients, regardless of their situation. These include the survivor telling someone they trust about their situation, trying to build a support network of trusted people such as friends or family members, and gathering important papers and other information and storing them in a safe place. The Rise of Safety Plans document lists general safety strategies that should be included in clients' custom safety plans. If you would like to see more examples of these strategies, please refer to the Rise of Safety Plans document. It is important for all survivors, regardless of their circumstance, to have a safety plan in mind in case of an emergency. This plan should allow them to get to a safe location quickly. Here are some strategies survivors can implement to create an emergency safety plan. Think about what you will need to leave in a hurry, including where you will go. Memorize emergency numbers for the police, taxi, etc. Turn off phone location services. Make a list of important contacts of trusted friends or relatives. And pack a small emergency bag and leave it in a place where it cannot be found. All survivors can create an emergency safety plan by implementing the considerations outlined in the RISA Emergency Safety Plan. These strategies should be included in all client safety plans. You can learn more about emergency safety strategies in the RISA Safety Plans document. The quote on the screen describes the positive impact that service providers can have by helping survivors develop and implement safety planning strategies. Quote, "Service providers helped a lot. They changed the locks, put on alarm systems, strategies to go through my own feelings, find reasons to feel strong, and education about unhealthy relationships. Also, it was nice to hear that I was not alone. Other women experienced similar situations. I felt that I was wrong. Now I understand it is so hard to leave. The counselor helped me with that. Another strategy suggested by my counselor was to make a list of the reasons why I should not open my door to my ex-partner." As we discussed in the previous module, the clinic consulted with survivors of violence from different backgrounds about safety planning. The clinic adopted 2 consultation modalities: a community engagement working group, or CEWG, and individual interviews. The next few slides will discuss some of the main takeaways from this research. The visual above demonstrates the insightful feedback and recommendations from participants in the CEWG based on their experiences with safety planning. Survivors emphasized the importance of emotional safety as part of the safety plan, and the need to have safety plans available in different formats and languages. Findings from individual interviews with survivors were very aligned with the CEWG. In addition, 90 out of 95% of respondents who indicated having assistance from service providers 45% indicated that they did not have a detailed safety plan. Yet, many were told to call the police as a primary safety plan action. The RISA tool attempts to address these limitations by providing safety plans that focus on emotional safety, are trauma-informed, and can be tailored to each client's circumstance. The next few slides will feature quotes from participants about their experiences with service provision and safety planning. I remember being told there was going to be a restraining order in place, but no one provided me with paperwork and gave me options on what to do in case my children or I would see him. I did not have any help with that in terms of safety. Quote, safety planning is huge. It needs to be in a non-judgmental approach and meet people where they are at with no pressure to leave a situation if the person is not ready. If children are involved, be more creative in terms of safety planning too. Help people figure out how to create boundaries and how to identify if there is a situation with potential escalation, wherein the home is safer. Have a more trauma-informed approach instead of a punitive one. Service providers need to communicate the risks and help with how to mitigate those risks. What the research emphasized overall was the importance of intersectional safety planning. We know that survivors' experiences of abuse are structured or shaped by their social location. Race, gender, class, sexuality, immigration status, age, and religion all play a role in the forms of violence and precarity experienced by individuals and groups. This includes how a survivor experiences intimate partner violence, her assessment of risk, and her ability to leave an abusive relationship. The safety plan should consider the unique social, physical, emotional, financial, and technological needs of the survivor. Service providers must consider additional barriers marginalized groups face, especially because the experiences of these groups have not always been considered in the design and implementation of, quote, standard safety planning tools. An intersectional approach can help ensure that the needs of all survivors are considered when assisting them in creating safety plans. Learning Module 3, Intersectionality, will highlight key points for an intersectional approach to practice. The RISA tool provides safety plans that have been designed based on intersectional factors a survivor may be facing. You will learn more about the different RISA safety plans later in this module. When assisting clients with safety plans, service providers must consider different areas of safety planning depending on the client's circumstances. The image on the screen describes different types of safety considerations that should be explored with clients. Each customized RISA safety plan contains multiple safety planning areas, which are included depending on your client's circumstances. In the next section, we will explore RISA's safety planning feature. Depending on who you work with, we have also identified some other safety planning tools that you might want to check out. The iHeal app is a tool that survivors and service providers can use to create safety plans, manage risk, and take care of overall health. There are 6 areas that survivors can explore: safety, basic needs, health and well-being, connecting safely, claiming your power, and family. Each area contains a check-in based on the topic of concern, educational content, and resources. Survivors can save resources, topics, and quotes on a separate page, allowing them to build a risk management strategy based on what is relevant to them. The tool was developed and tested with diverse women's needs and concerns in mind. Bright Sky is a US-based app that anyone can use to learn more about abuse, identify whether they are in an abusive situation, and access safety tips and resources. The app is not accessible in Canada, but they have a website which provides safety considerations for leaving a relationship, online safety tips, and further resources. The Steer app is designed for victims and survivors of economic abuse. It provides general information on economic abuse, along with a questionnaire to help users identify economic abuse and resources to support the user. It also offers safety planning, including safety tips based on which stage the relationship is in. National Domestic Violence Hotline provides an option for survivors to create their own personalized safety plan based on responses to a brief questionnaire. A link to the safety plan is emailed to the survivor. This is a US-based organization, so the resources provided are only in the US. You can find links to these safety planning and risk management tools in the video description. Please feel free to pause here and check in with yourself before continuing this module. You could take a deep breath, have a sip of water, or move your body if that feels right for you. If you would like any additional support or resources, please go to riseaboverisk.ca and look for the heart and hand symbol that's shown on the slide. Your customized RISA safety plan can be found under the Dashboard tab on the website, as shown on the screen. The document details various safety plans that have been included based on the risk factors identified during the questionnaire. At the top of the page, you will find content links to the different sections of the safety plan. Every safety plan will include general safety, emergency safety, emotional safety, and technological safety strategies, as these are important considerations for every client. Below these content links, you will find a table that lists the risk factors relevant to your client's situation and corresponding safety plan content links. These safety considerations will be more specific to your client's unique circumstances. If you decide to share it with the client, you can download the plan as a Word or HTML file, which you can easily shorten to focus on the sections most relevant to their situation. The full RISA safety plan document, which contains all of the safety plans that RISA offers, is also available for download on the website. The next few slides will walk you through some examples of what you can expect to see in the customized RISA safety plan. Technological safety is an important safety consideration for all survivors. People who cause harm may use technology to continue or escalate the abuse, including monitoring survivors' whereabouts and online activity. The RISA Tech Safety Plan includes many different strategies for survivors that should be incorporated into all client safety plans. One such strategy is password safety. There are multiple ways for survivors to keep their accounts secure. These include changing passwords for all your social media platforms and email addresses, not telling anyone the passwords to any of your devices, logging off when leaving your device or account unattended, using different passwords for each online account and device, and changing passwords regularly. You can learn more about the tech safety strategies in the RISA Safety Plans document. Violence affects people in different ways, and self-care is an essential part of healing for everyone who has experienced GBV. Self-care and emotional safety is different for everyone, and it is essential that survivors develop a self-care plan that makes sense to them and that they can incorporate into their daily lives. The RISA Emotional Safety Plan suggests some strategies that survivors can implement as part of their self-care plan. One category of strategies is psychological and emotional well-being. Some of these strategies include keeping a journal, setting some time for relaxation, spending time with people you enjoy, finding things that make you laugh, and considering joining counseling or a support group. You can learn more about emotional safety strategies in the RISA Safety Plans document. Your client's personalized safety plan will also include other types of safety plans depending on which risk factors you identify in the questionnaire, like, for example, whether they have children or pets. If we go back to our case example from earlier, you would have noted down Jennifer's Indigenous identity as a factor during your risk assessment. Because of this, your safety plan would also include safety strategies for Indigenous communities. One such strategy is building a support network. This network can include a trusted friend, family member, a women's group, an Indigenous women's group, an advocate, or community member to help the survivor leave an abusive relationship safely. The support network should have the survivor's full address in case of an emergency. You can learn more about the other types of safety plans in the RISA Safety Plans document. After reviewing safety plan questions and strategies with clients, it is important to ask clients about next steps and have an action plan regarding their situation. The final document, RISA Action Plans, provides questions that will help guide the ongoing risk management process after the initial risk assessment and safety planning has been completed. You will find the RISA Action Plans on the dashboard page at the bottom. The action plans are organized into 3 sections. Number 1, action plan with client. Number 2, action plan for case management and risk management. And number 3, high-risk case consultation and action plan. The first action plan focuses on important follow-up questions to ask your client to ensure that all relevant safety considerations have been accounted for and that your client will be able to implement their safety plan. Some of these questions include: what are the next steps? Are you going to share your plan with someone? Who can help in a situation of violence? What kinds of support do you have, and what kinds of support do you need? Keep in mind that it is also essential to book follow-up meetings with clients to review safety and action plans periodically. In these meetings, it is important to ask clients about any change of circumstance, since it can impact their level of risk and safety, and to review questions about risk factors for serious harm. The second action plan is for service providers to help guide their ongoing case management and risk management strategies beyond the initial risk assessment and safety planning phase. Case management may also involve leveraging referral networks and relationships with other service providers within and across organizations, particularly where client safety needs extend beyond a provider's scope of service or expertise. This plan includes reflective questions that can guide service providers to the next steps regarding each client's situation. Providers will also be encouraged to reflect on systemic barriers that clients may encounter as they seek safety, and potential advocacy or mitigation strategies that can emerge from collaborative case management. Some of these questions include: are the notes complete? Is there any other follow-up needed, and what is the timeline for the follow-up? Does a case consultation or critical incident debriefing need to happen? Are services and systems in the community working together and sharing risk-related information as appropriate? Do you need to share your client's safety or situation concerns with your supervisor? The third action plan is an additional component intended to assist frontline workers and supervisors in consulting and taking appropriate actions in cases identified as high risk. It is composed of critical questions for supervisors to ask their frontline staff in a high-risk case. These questions include: what are the client's greatest fears? What part of the safety plan worries the client the most? What is your professional experience and intuition telling you to do? What is the client's intuition and lived experience telling them to do? What has worked and not worked in the past to keep the client safe? Is there time to reflect? How fast do we need to respond? To wrap up this module, we will highlight some of the key takeaways. Number 1, safety plans must be practical and personalized. Safety plans must consider survivors' unique circumstances and identities. There are many different areas within safety planning. Safety plans should include emotional safety. Service providers play an essential role in creating and communicating safety plans for survivors, and it is important to reflect on next steps after safety plans have been created. If you would like to test your knowledge from this module, we've created a short downloadable quiz and an accompanying answer key. Please click the link in the video description to download the quiz. This brings us to the end of Module 2. To continue your learning, check out Module 3 in the Learning Hub. There are also other modules you might want to check out, which are pictured on the slide. Thank you so much for taking time to complete Part 2 of Module 2. Thank you for the life-changing work that you do and for going out of your way to learn about safety planning and incorporating it into your work. Make sure to check out the video description for links to additional resources and the work cited in this module.